Awesome. Hello. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I see there already are some folks in the chat sharing where you're from. You already know the drill. That's usually my first question. Tell us where you're from. My name is Kate. I'm the community manager here at Bolt. For those of you who have been here before, welcome back. For those of you who are new to the Bolt live streams, welcome for the first time. A few things to share. Currently, we are on YouTube, X, and LinkedIn. YouTube is our most active chat and also the one in the Luma page. So if you found us on the X feed and you're like, where is everyone? You can pop over to YouTube. The chat is going off. We are going to be answering questions as they come in. So please throw your questions in the chat, and we will try to get to all of them. But we'll do our best, I should say. And then also, this will be recorded. So if you have to run to a meeting or it's like midnight for you or whatever, don't stress. This will be recorded and added to our YouTube channel after this call. Okay, so we have some really exciting stuff today. This is actually the first live stream that we are going to be doing in a series of live streams with the Pica team, talking about integrations. Integrations are really tricky. They are hard. If you've ever done it before, very challenging. We are going to bring you the power of integrations and adding them to your Bolt project with the Pica team. So this is just one of many. Be on the lookout for a few other amazing ones that we have coming up. And let us know if there's stuff that you want us to cover as well. There's integration. You're like, this would be great to just get in my project. Let us know in the chat. Okay, let's get started. With me today is Alex. Alex is our Chief of Staff at Bolt. Hi, Alex.
Hey, excited to be doing another one of these. It's been too long.
Like 6 weeks or something. And then also from the Pica team, Mo is the CEO of Pica. Hello, Mo. How are you doing?
Hey. Good. How are you? I'm so excited for this.
Mo actually joined us back during the hackathon. So familiar face, if you remember back in like July. Seems like decades ago.
Exciting.
And then Paul is a founding engineer at Pica as well. Hi, Paul. How's it going?
Hey, super excited for this.
Amazing. Yeah, so Paul and Mo are going to be showing us really just how to, we're kicking off with Gmail. Holidays are coming up. You're like, hey, how do I communicate with my users? And they're going to be showing us everything that goes into Gmail in a few relatively simple steps. But yeah, Mo, do you want to take it away?
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for having me. Super excited. Very quickly, my name is Mo. I'm founder CEO of Pica. Very quickly on Pica and what Pica does. Pica essentially, you could think of it as the system that allows you to glue to third parties. So typically as developer, I'm a developer myself, and we developer like to cheat, believe it or not. We like to call things complicated that they're not. Like we use a lot of APIs, and APIs basically are things that do things that were designed by other people. So, some group of people will do something like, for example, HubSpot or Gmail, they'll do something where like you could now email, and they have APIs. And then we developers, we use these APIs, and then we say our apps can send emails. Oh, fantastic. People think that like, whoa, this app is so complicated. My app has AI. Well, OpenAI did the AI. OpenAI gives you then the API. You can then use the API so that your app can do the AI stuff or send the email. So what we at Pica do is we connect you to these third parties, like the integrations or these APIs, that enables your application to do something really powerful using plain English. And in today's live stream, we're going to be focusing on transactional emails. And our goal with this partnership with Bolt is for every week to focus on a particular topic in relates to integrations. And of course, every topic can be done using multiple different approaches. And in today, if time permits, we're probably going to look at 2 approaches. But ideally, we're going to focus on transactions. And then every week, we're going to focus on a new topic. And of course, your feedback, your suggestions is definitely going to be very useful. And Pica, as of right now, I believe we support about 175 576, something like that. Don't take it. It's increasing every single day. But I'll pass it to you, Paul, so that you could kick us started with the transactional email using Bolt and Pica and Gmail, I believe. What is transactional email? Yes.
Looks like we have
so
a question in the
I love
chat here. I don't know who
Let's do
asked
it.
this one, but
Let's do it. So transactional emails are so typically when you have an application, the application does something. So for example, you build an application and the application allows your users to sign in. Users sign in and typically you want to send them an email saying like, welcome to my application. That email is a transactional email because it's tied to transaction. So a transaction happened in my application, it fires an email. You made a payment and your payment was a success. It's a transaction. Therefore, it triggers a transactional email. So transactional email is any email in your application that is triggered specifically on a transaction that the user did or didn't do. So for example, if the user was supposed to make a payment, but the payment failed for whatever reason, you could also send them an email. That's also be considered a transactional email. Sweet.
I actually wasn't the only one to ask this question. Hey, this is definitely this actually was a legitimate chat question. So great explanation.
I love it. Yeah, so in summary, transactional email is any email that your application sends when the user does something. So like a user does something, and again, the user does or doesn't do something. So like the user was supposed to do something at a specific time, they didn't do it, you send them a transactional email so that you could ding them to do it. So they're supposed to make a payment, they didn't, you send them a transactional email to make the payment. You want them to upgrade and they didn't, you do the same thing. These are all called transactional emails.
Perfect. I think this question is jumping ahead here, but it's a good one. Is this the only feature that the Pica Bolt integration can support? Kind of you're cheating here, your AI agency automate channel, but it's a very good question. You should definitely stick around and watch the demo Paul's about to do, because the same exact workflow, spoiler alert, that he's going to show you is going to let you do a lot more than just transactional email. That's right. And that's really what makes the partnership we're doing with Pica so exciting, is what we're about to show you for the transactional email, the same skill set and the same process is going to allow you to do literally hundreds of other third-party integrations in your apps. And that's why we're going to be doing this as an ongoing series. But even after just today, you're going to be really able to go, through the library of what Pica is going to allow you to do and have the skills to integrate many other capabilities into your app.
Exactly. Yeah. I guess with that, I can get started with this demo here.
Let's do it.
Okay, can we all see my screen here?
Yep.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Perfect.
Okay, so in today's demo, the first thing we're going to build using Bolt is we're going to build a contact form. So a lot of times in your app, whether it be a landing page or some other part, you want a little support modal, something that people can, enter a question and it gets emailed to you. There are a lot of services that allow you to do things like this. I remember for years I used things like FormSpree, and a lot of these things that have limits. You can only receive a certain amount of emails a day or this, and you have to use their tools to kind of get this working. In today's demo, what we're going to do is we're going to build a contact form that's going to just work with Gmail out of the box. So I'm pretty sure that most people here have a Gmail account, and you don't need to sign up to anything else. As long as you have a Gmail account, you can hook that up and you can hook it up to a form. So I'm going to start from scratch here, and I'm going to prompt Bolt to create us a contact form. So let's say create. These would be typically the fields that you'd want. You can extend this with whatever else you might want, but I'll collect a name, email address, and a message right now. I'll say build it using ShadCN components in a black and white theme.
While we wait for that to build, we got another question from the chat here from a user that says they currently use a third-party service to forward emails to Gmail, but it's not free, is this going to allow them to go directly to Gmail and connect there directly?
Yeah, that's exactly the idea here. So you can completely bypass Mail.js. You can hook it up directly to your Gmail account through Pica. So I guess what we could do right now is, for everybody who's tuning in and wants to follow along, you can actually sign up to your Pica account. So this is where you would connect your Gmail. So if you head over to app.picaos.com, you can get in here. You can connect with either your GitHub or your Google. So if you go in here, and the question that we got just moments ago, can we do more than just sending transactional emails? And, I'm not going to get too ahead of ourselves, but any integration you want, any action across that is doable. So once you've signed up, what we want to do is you want to go into the add connection section here. So I'm in the connected integrations page, and I would simply search for Gmail, and then I would go ahead and connect it. So you can sign in with whatever. In this case, this is going to be the email address that's going to send all of the emails. So this would be, if it's in your app, it could be kind of your support email or your contact email, whatever that admin email that's going to send everything out would be. And that's it. I've got my Gmail connection here. We will, and there you go. Thank you for that. We will come right back there. Nice. So we've got Bolt that's created us this really nice contact form here. We've got name, email, and a message. So obviously now this isn't going to actually send any emails. We want to actually hook this up to that Gmail connection that we just created over here. Now, in order to do this, Mo will talk a little more about this afterwards. You'll see a bunch of different sections on the Pica dashboard. We're going to be going into BuildKit. So BuildKit is Pica's tool that's going to allow you to grab a prompt you need that you can copy and paste into your Bolt editor, which is going to allow stitching together whatever you need to an integration. So in this specific use case, I want to use Gmail to be able to send emails. So I'm going to go ahead and just tell BuildKit exactly what I want my integration to do. So let's say send an email using Gmail.
While this is happening, I'm just going to answer a question that came about here. Is Pica email system similar to or alternative to the likes of Resend? Pica is neither, actually. It's not the integration itself. It's the connecting piece. So we help you connect to Gmail or Resend, or as a matter of fact, I believe Paul already prepared a demo for Resend. So we are not the integration itself. We are the connection to the integration. So we help you get the integration into your app using plain English. And of course, we take care of security and all other things that we will talk about towards the end of this live stream.
Exactly, yeah. And it's really going to be the same process no matter what integration you're working with. So here I prompted BuildKit, I want to be able to send an email using Gmail, and it's given me this prompt here essentially that I can take and paste into Bolt. So I'll go ahead, I'll copy this. And now when we're in Bolt, we want to add additional information. So what I copied right there is how Bolt can actually send the email. But I want a little more, so I'm going to tell Bolt exactly how to stitch that logic to the app I've built. So I'm going to say, when a user submits the contact form, I want to send an email to paul@picaos.com with the name, email, and message. So what we could do here, this would be the email that you want to receive emails from. So say this was my app and I have any user who comes in and they want to submit something about my business, they have a question, and I want to collect all the emails. I'm just going to send it to my personal email for now. This doesn't have to be the same email that you connected with. Remember, what you connected with is the email that's sending things out with. Here, this could be support@picaos.com, whatever it might be. So I'm going to say, when a user submits this, I want the email to go here. And then I'll say, here's how you send an email. And I'm going to paste exactly what I got from Pica's BuildKit.
So to summarize, while this is happening, we went to build kit, we describe what we want to do, we grab the prompt, describe what we want the functionality of the app to do, and we give it the prompt from build kit.
Exactly, yeah. So what ends up happening inside Bolt is that Bolt is going to create for us an edge function. This edge function is going to make all of those needed requests to do that backend logic, and then it's going to give back the response we need.
Very cool. Well, that's thinking. We've got a couple questions about the Pica business model. So Geo Canuck asked, does Pica cost money? And Jeff asks a follow-up question around the free plan and the limits for testing on the free plan.
Yeah.
Yes. So
I see a question here from Noah Atkins as well. At the moment, I could be wrong. I think it's over 181 integrations with a backlog of 15 we haven't put out yet. Yeah, there you go. How many integrations does Pica have? And to test the application, yes, there is a free tier that allows you to have up to 5 connections. And you can make, I believe, 1,000 requests per month on that free tier. So you can have 5 different connections, and a request would be, for example, 1 email that was sent. That would count as 1.
Gotcha. So then Andres asks a more conceptual question around the benefits of using Pica to stitch together the integrations versus building from scratch with the API. And I think this is the answer to this question. I mean, there's multiple answers, but this is the whole reason why I'm so excited about this partnership, because I'll kick it over to Mo and Paul to talk about some of the reasons, but direct API integrations, nothing wrong with them, right? If they're fit to purpose and you want to go that route and set stuff up by hand, that's totally great. But the things that Pica is doing to make this so easy, especially for non-software developers, are what has me super excited about what we're doing here. So Mo, I'll kick it over to you to share some thoughts on this.
Definitely, yeah. So essentially, like, you could think of it like your integration engineer. Typically, to think about building a project, whether you're vibe coding a project or you're actually doing an engineering, at the end of the day, you're engineering something. And when you're engineering something, you need to make sure that it's reliable. And integration itself is very finicky because, like, documentation change, APIs change. You need to make sure that it's actually secure. Sometimes you're doing your integrations and it's okay. And then sometimes you want to integrate to your customer's integration, meaning you want to, for example, connect to your customer Google Drive or your customer's email. So the integration need, generally speaking, is quite wide and like there's so many different use cases. What Pica does, Pica acts like your integration team. So we do the vetting, we do the knowledge, we train the AI, we make sure that, like, when you tell the AI something, it's going to work right away. And the AI is going to get the correct information about that API every single time because we vet that. We have a whole system that essentially makes sure everything is accurate. That's number one. Number two, we take care of security.
To double click deeper on that one for people that aren't really that familiar with an API versus a Pica assisted integration. I mean, when you do an API integration, you have to write a bunch of custom code that exactly instructs how your application is going to interact with the third-party application. And you have to there's a lot of opportunity for things to go wrong because you're actually kind of inventing that connection service. I mean, not kind of, you are inventing the mesh, the connection service between your app and the third-party app from scratch within the constraints of what's possible of the code of the API, right? But whereas my understanding of the Pica approach is, I mean, we mentioned this at the top, but your Bolt, the app you're making in Bolt, is sending these requests to Pica in plain English. So
Yeah.
as a non-developer, you can very carefully customize exactly and understand the integration behavior that you're asking for. And Pica's responsible for, and Mo, maybe you could speak about the human in the loop testing that you guys do to make sure that this happens correctly. Pica's responsible for translating your plain English language request into the actual code that's going to go hit the third-party service and create the correct outcome for you.
Yeah, that's exactly correct. Yeah. So like typically when you're coding, the way the developer do, like even though like it's a cheating or whatever we want to call it, but you're really going to the docs and you're reading the docs and you're understanding the docs. Now you could do the same thing. You could tell the AI to go to the docs and read the doc, but in most cases, it's going to miss information. What Pica does, it makes sure that the AI has everything it needs for that given context. And then on top of that, we make sure that every action from a human standpoint, we have vetted it from an engineering standpoint that it actually is going to work. So when you're providing the data to the AI, the data that is given to the AI is perfect and it's enough for it to get the job done right away. And then the other thing that I want to also add to it is the security aspect of it. When you integrate directly into any particular service, you typically do not want to give the AI access to that service. So here, and Paul is going to get into now like the security aspect of it, which I'm not going to touch into, but just very briefly, all the security and all the connection to these third parties is happening inside Pica's dashboard, which means, God forbid, your application got a leak or something or anything like that. You could just easily go to the Pica dashboard, disable it instantaneously like this, and it'll disable everything and you're 100% secure. Versus if, for example, you had it in like vibe coded, for example, in the sense that you could expose your APIs. There are so many security risks on top of that. So Pica is production ready in the sense that you can now build your applications on Bolt, which essentially writes all the logic needed for the front end, the back end, and all that stuff. Pica now comes in to give you access to the integration side in a production ready manner.
That's huge. That's huge. Yeah, and I think I flashed these comments here right from Ben Jenkins talking about this, the security side of it that you just addressed, super important. And we're going to get more into this later, but obviously Alex understands how AuthKit fits into this. It was briefly alluded to, like, what if you need the end users of the app you're building to authenticate their own Gmail or Google Drive or HubSpot or other account into your app? You know, think about like if you're building a Calendly clone and you need it to be able to update your Google Calendar, right? Or your end user's Google Calendar. There's even more security topics and complexity there that Pica is taking care of for you. We're getting ahead of ourselves though. Back to you, Paul, for continuing where we're at here with the transactional email demo.
Right before I get into this, there's actually a really interesting question here from idea to prototype. This is one of the big things that Pica also handles. So APIs are constantly changing and versions are being updated, and that becomes a headache to manage. When you're using Pica's integrations, if there's a patch that's ever updated by a third party, a field that's changed, a new version that's added, we take care of all of that. So a lot of times we actually end up finding errors on third-party applications on their APIs, and we're telling them mistakes we find too. So everything will auto-update. You don't even need to deploy again because knowledge is kind of self-healing, and I don't want to get too much into that now, but a great question there. So here, Bolt has finished. It's created our edge function, and we need to add 2 environment variables into the app. So just to double check here, we can see now, I think I should be able to just go ahead and edit the environment file here. So we have a Pica secret key and Pica Gmail connection key. So if you head into the Pica dashboard and you go into the connected integrations page, that connection we created has what's called a connection key. So this is essentially the way you identify that key. That connection. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this, and I will set this as the Gmail connection key. And we're going to create an API key as well. Call this Bolt demo. You can copy this. The keys are one-time use. and I'm going to add that here as well. So now the
And
server.
to be clear, Paul's just too good at this. But he's just going and updating the .n file, but it is telling you right there in the chat what's needed. You could paste it in the chat and wait for Bolt to do it for you. But yeah, I mean, when it comes to keys, you might as well just go to the N file and paste them in yourself. So yeah.
Okay, there you go. Yeah. Either one of those can be done. I'll refresh this. I think the server did restart anyway, but let's go ahead and try this out. So let's say the email is coming from John Doe. And John,
Moment of truth.
sample.com. Okay, and it looks like we have an error here, but this is a great learning opportunity. So let's see what happened here. I'm just going to say that I got an error when sending the email. If I could copy this.
By the way, totally normal. When getting errors is part of like the development, totally normal. Ideally, we're getting into a state where like the AI is becoming quite good, but it should be resolved now within the second. But typically, yeah, you would take that error, pass it back to the AI, and Bolt should be able to take care of it.
Yeah.
Here's a good question from Ben Jenkins. With how fast things are moving, how stable are these integrations? I think this is a great question because if you build the API integration yourself, you are responsible for the answer to this question. But if you use Pica, Paul is. So how does that work with Pica?
Yeah, we take care of it. So like our system continuously check on these integrations. So yeah, like as far as you're using Pica behind it, and again, like this is one example of how you could use Pica, but typically we will update the APIs. And as Paul was mentioning, a lot of the time we notice that certain things are breaking, for example, on third-party integration. We notify them, telling them that there's issues or there's problem. So let's.
So here it's saying failed to send email. I just want to make sure that these environment variables we set are properly being set for the edge function. So I am getting a failed to send email error. Environment variables.
So yeah, that's a great point. And for people, hey, I always love an opportunity to teach about edge functions because it's a very technical, developer sounding thing, but it's really, really important and almost certainly is the root cause of what's going on here, I bet. So edge functions, there's a bunch of different levels of like technicality that they can be explained at. The way I like to talk about it is when you're building anything functional into your application, where it's going to go out and talk to a third-party service, whether that's through Pica or directly to an API surface that is not Pica, you generally want to run that connectivity layer on some computer that is not your user's computer, fundamentally. Why? If you run that connectivity layer on your end user's computer, they can see everything there, including all the keys, and it's just not good security practice. So that's why we use edge functions, which are basically mini little computers out in the cloud that just turn on when you need them and turn off immediately when you don't. And so you actually store these secret keys and such that we put into the .n file to secure the connection. Those get stored in the edge function so that they are not stored on your user's computer when they load your app. That's one of the simpler ways to explain it. And so, yeah, I have run into this. Sometimes we need to make sure that that connectivity edge function gets updated with the proper keys and credentials to make that connectivity between your app and the third-party app that you're looking to integrate with.
Yeah, so I believe, Alex, maybe you can share more light. I believe in Bolt, you need to have the Bolt database also set for those secrets. Is that correct?
You might. I actually don't for sure know the answer to that question. If you need to have a database set up in terms of getting, I think you might be able to do edge functions specifically without the database, but I am not 100% sure, because generally by the time I get to edge functions, I've already created a database. But yeah.
Right. Yeah, because I believe you normally do need this. So if I were to ask Bolt to start that, let's just try.
You'll definitely need the database.
Yes, I think so. If I do this, it might still say, oh. Yeah, so I'm going to just say start my database here.
I'm just gonna add a little more thing here on top of what Alex mentioned on the edge function. For security purposes, ideally, whenever you're dealing with third-party application, you should do it on an edge function. And the reason why, it's because it's significantly more secure to do so. Now, the edge function, I believe here with the database this is a Supabase, isn't it?
So Bolt, we recently launched Bolt Cloud, where we've white labeled Supabase and Netlify and integrated it directly into the application. So under the hood, the Bolt database is running on Supabase Infra, has same capabilities.
So here's what actually needs to happen. You need to make sure that you have your Bolt database set up, and you'll get this little pop-up in Bolt that will prompt you to add these environment variables inside the edge function itself. So that's what was happening. When we were adding them, we were not adding them actually for the edge function. So I will go ahead, I will copy that key again, add it here, and I will do the same for the connection key. So you want to make sure that when you open the project settings, you can see inside secrets that you have this section over here. And if you don't see that, do what I just did and ask Bolt to create your database for you. So the secrets were added successfully. And if I go here, if I refresh, now let's go ahead and say, from Bolt. Oh, looks like I'm still getting a fail to send email.
So just to add on this, like whenever we're having a project and you're dealing with a third party, I would say maybe start with the database, because you're going to need it, because that's needed for the edge function. So we're telling Bolt, okay, let's set up the database for us. That's going to now set up the database which comes with the edge function. From that point, we can start adding the functionalities, because each functionality is going to be its own edge function. And then from there, we can have the functionality activated inside the application. I believe because at the beginning of the demo, it started without this edge function. So it was creating it using the internal Vite functionalities, I believe.
Yes, yeah. And it looks like here it's kind of figured out what the issue was. So now, what do they say? They say 5th time's the charm, I think.
More like.
Let's go ahead and send this.
All right.
That the message sent successfully. So again, this should be working on your first try as long as you have the Bolt database set up. And if I go into my email, I can see here I just got that email sent. So I have a new contact form submission, the name in that, the email, and the message they sent as well. Now, let's say you wanted to customize this email a little, make it more like on your brand. We can prompt Bolt to do that as well. So I'm going to say, that works. Can you design the email that's sent to have a header section with a red gradient that says new contact form submission. Obviously, you could specify this to be whatever you wanted, but it'll design that email that's sent. You could even, give it an image or anything to reference, and really customize the branding of everything that's sent again.
And I want to also mention one more thing. Now that you have the sending email functionalities, you can pretty much do everything from this point inside Bolt, because Pica has already transferred the knowledge needed to be able to send an email using Gmail. And now you could just reuse it and again and again and again. So in your application, in many cases, and as I describe what transactional email mean, it now, like the user does something, you can now send another email, and the Bolt is going to use the exact same edge function that was created here, which is really another really great benefits. And again, when you're building a bigger application, usually what features you want. So you could come from the very beginning, build all these edge function, and then start adding them into your application.
Right.
Yes, step 1 prompt. Nice step. Step 2 in Pica dashboard. Yeah, sweet.
Yep. So Danica's taking some notes here. Yeah. Create the user interface, i.e. the form in this case. In the dashboard, go find the Gmail integration, use Pica build kit to get the prompts to connect Gmail. And yep, that will be the email that sends the transactional emails. Oh, and yes. Okay. This is a good time to say, there will be a blog post linked in the video description on YouTube with the exact steps, and you can just copy paste them and run through it that way. So we'll have you taken care of there.
So the first prompt, this is what Bolt ended up designing, just a header with new contact form submission, and already the email looks so much better. But you could customize this however you like. And you subtract that friction. What we just did here is not something very easy to do. This is actually require a lot of work if you were building a Gmail integration yourself. But with a couple prompts, we have it sending emails now.
Okay, so Paul, I have a question for you that I haven't seen in the chat. And so in this scenario here, we're doing a contact form where you're attempting to collect emails, right? Receive emails from your users. What do we need to do to flip this around so that, it's more like you, as in your app, is sending emails out to your users? If you've, let's say they create an account on your website and you want to be able to say, hey, welcome to my app.
Yeah, it's a great question. So it's essentially the exact same process of what we did right now, with minor adaptations to that initial prompt we gave it. So let's actually go ahead and try something like that. Let's say here that, what's a good example? Let's say
maybe like a sign up form. Create a sign up form, and then
I want to add a new page to my app with a basic sign up user form. It should collect a first name, last name, and we'll say and email address. Let's say email address and password. Once that form is submitted, the user signs up. I want to send them a welcome to my app email.
Very cool. Yeah, because I think this is where it gets extremely useful, right? Because then at any point when a user is interacting with your app. Maybe they create a paid account, maybe they create a free account, maybe they just interact with a particular feature of your application. And because they used that feature, you want to send them an email, maybe with a YouTube video of how to use that part of your app. That there's so many touch points. This is actually something we're working on at Bolt, doing a better job of. We want to provide the right educational content at just the right moment based on what users are doing in the app. And this is going to allow anyone building apps to have those same triggers for emails built into their applications, which is super, super powerful.
Yes. Yeah.
We've got a we got a question from Jeff here in the chat around defining what a Pica connection is exactly.
Yes. Yeah. So a Pica connection is an instant of connecting to a third party. So like if you connected one Gmail account, that's a connection. If you connect to another email, like let's say you have your personal email and you have your work email, if you connected both of them, this would be considered as two connections. And of course, when you get into the of course, if you're doing stuff for yourself, you're not going to necessarily need a lot of integrations. But sometime when you're doing integration for your customers, that's when you need to have more integration. This is something I'm going to tap into towards the end of this live stream.
Yeah, exactly.
And then here's this is kind of like an application design, planning, architecting question that I think is a valid one though, right? Like, not so much about Supabase versus Gmail necessarily, but just thinking about, that's a totally fine question too, but I think I want to answer this at a slightly higher level. Like, how do you think about the appropriate service or integration for performing different activities in an app in general, right? Because as like someone that's architecting apps, that's kind of really becoming the job, actually, more so even than writing the lines of code, is making these kind of decisions. So curious if Mo or Paul, if you guys have thoughts on how you make those types of decisions.
My thinking typically is you want to reduce the number of elements involved in getting something done. And I know this might sound a little redundant, and because Pica is another layer as well. But here's how I justify it. I say, if you're doing one off and it's one action and it's one thing that you want to do, and like somehow you have the technical know-how of how to do it, don't use any service, just get it done. Because again, like you'll be better off that way because it's just one off. It's probably not going to change. But usually, whenever you're building any application, it's almost never the case. So you want to use a provider because like you need stability. You need to make sure that it's actually working. So now, when it comes specifically to Gmail versus Supabase, there's of course like Pica supports Supabase as well, and you can of course use Supabase directly. But typically, the way I see it is Gmail has a lot of benefit in the sense when you send from Gmail, the chance of hitting a spam is significantly lower, especially if your Gmail itself is clean. So you would use this for example, like typically, like for example, I use my Gmail to send direct emails to people when they sign up into Pica. So like if you sign up to Pica, you're going to get a welcome email that actually gets sent from my Gmail directly. Now and of course, like the service we use, they use integration with Gmail directly. Of course, you can when you use a service like Supabase, the sending from there goes from the servers of the Supabase, which is kind of like a little disconnected because you now have to set up also your domain inside Supabase, or else it's going to go from their domain. And of course, I know they have the service. So for me, the way I look at it is how many steps of separations between the end result, the thing that's actually producing the actual service, and my application. So the lower it is, the better it is. So again, like if for example, let's say you want to use Supabase to send an email, I wouldn't do Pica using Supabase to send the email because like 3 level of separation you have here. I would use directly Supabase because again, it's already integrated in your application. So lower the number of variables, because that's like every variable you add to your application is most certainly going to create bugs. So the lower the number of variable, the less bugs. So like when you integrate Pica, Pica now opens up to everything. So that's one. So if you're connecting to one, that's great, right? Like it's one. So like, what's the benefit of Pica? It's the same as not having Pica because it's number one. But the second you add another service, boom, Pica immediately shines because now you have one thing you're dealing with inside your application, and it starts spreading across. I hope that that answers the question.
I think that answers it very well, especially that last piece. And that's why I'm excited that what we're doing here is a series, because once you get Pica connected, you can add all these other third-party applications through that one single access interface, and it all operates in the through that same funnel through Pica. So it's kind of like you integrate one time with Pica, and it just allows you to seamlessly do, well over 100 other third-party services connected in with your application. So yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, and on the by the way, like on the Gmail versus like Resend or any of these applications, we will do an example on Resend. I'm not necessarily saying specifically Gmail. I'm just saying, like, generally speaking, like the service that's doing the sending. If, for example, you want, like, let's say that for your application, you decided that like it's better for your email service to send it from Gmail because for spam purposes or for whatever, then okay, go directly with that. But if, for example, like let's say you're sending cold emails, there are services that are way better than Gmail. Like Gmail, if you use Gmail for cold email, is probably going to affect your spam score. But there are other services that tackle this in a different way. And of course, like I'm not the most expert when it comes to this, but typically the way I look at it is that reduce the number of variables in your application, which then will reduce the number of bugs that you will see in production.
Awesome. Okay, Paul, back over to you.
Yeah, it looks like it's still building here. So I think what's ended up happening is we're using Bolt's authentication feature. So it might actually be creating users for us in this demo here, which
Nice.
is a step beyond. But it looks like we are good here. Okay, so let's give this a shot when it refreshes.
Oh, that's funny. You just wanted a fake sign up form, and you actually got a full auth mechanism where you can actually
The
create
power of
accounts
Bolt.
in the database. Oops.
Okay, so there you go. Let's go ahead and sign up. I'm going to sign up Mo to my app here. And Mo, I'm going to send it to my email.
Let's see it.
So, okay, so we've created an account. If you go to the database tab, actually, before you go to your email, this is just a good time to show how that works. We see the profiles table, and there we go. So yeah, this actually created a real auth setup and added a table to the DB to log the user accounts.
Which is pretty sweet. And we got our welcome email here as well. So Mo, welcome to the app.
Thank you, sir.
Up. And it kind of went with a similar style as our other one, with kind of a gradient up
Pretty
here.
funny that it auto design. It's like, well, I know what the last one looked like. Let's keep it consistent.
Yeah. So yeah, and we didn't have to prompt it with BuildKit again, because when we did it earlier in the chat, Bolt already remembers, okay, I want to send emails using Pica. I know how to do that already. So that's why I didn't go back to BuildKit and tell it, send me a Gmail email and copy that. It already knew from the previous chat that I had given it.
I mean, and there you go. I mean, end of demo. So at that point, right now, you can just tell Bolt at anything they click, anything that happens in the app, you've now got an authenticated user. The Bolt knows their email address. It's stored in the database, and now you can trigger email to your users that says anything at any time based on anything that happens inside the app. And there you go. I mean, that's incredibly powerful that we were able to set that up while doing Q&A and building the actual authentication layer of the app just while chatting here. So really, really awesome to see how that works. I think now might be a good time to kick it back over to you, Mo, for talking about I guess I don't know how exactly we want to dig into this next part, but breaking
Yes.
down a little bit of what Pica is, we've kind of talked about, the connector layer, but I know that there's more to it. And I guess what can people look forward to learning more about when they join us again next week for well, actually next week's Thanksgiving. I don't know if we're taking the week off. I'm out of the loop on the plans, but when you join us for the next Bolt Pica live stream, right? What other capabilities do they have to look forward to in terms of what the Pica platform entails?
Real quick, Alex, or Mo, before we get to that, I just want to say we do have another live stream, like Alex said, not next week, but the following week. I will share the link here so you can sign up. But then we were looking for topics for the week after. So if there's an integration that you want, throw it in the chat while we're wrapping up here, and we will take those into consideration. I believe the next one is December 3rd. We'll be covering Notion. So
That's right.
Notion's already on the list, but the next one is up to you guys. But Mo, take it away.
Yeah. So as I mentioned, Pica is the gluing factor that glues pretty much anything to the third-party applications. So one of the capabilities of Pica is just how we were able to send email. We also have the capability to build an agent that's connected to these third parties. So Paul, if you don't mind just like resharing your screen and just clicking on that playground.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So one of the capabilities of Pica is to enable your AI agent. So if you're building an application, for example, on Bolt, and this application has an AI, using Pica, you could allow that AI to communicate with these connections that you've added. So like now, if we click on try playground.
Basically what Mo you're talking about here, just so we are tying it with products, this is Toolkit. So these are tools you can add to your AI agent. So we went over BuildKit. Mo's talking about Toolkit right now.
So here now, if we tell like this agent here is designed, like of course this agent you could design it inside your application, but you can see like we're connected to so many things. This agent is connected to like many integrations, and is extremely capable. So you could tell this agent, for example, send an email to Paul. Yeah, can you send an email to Paul at Pica OS saying Bolt and Pica is awesome. Sweet. And now this AI agent is essentially doing similar to what the Bolt did in figuring out like how to do the sending of the email. And now it's gonna just do that. And you can see that agent did exactly that. So like imagine this now with so many different integrations. Now the other thing that Pica has is the security. So let's say that you want to build an app, and in your app you want to allow your users to connect to their Google Drive.
I'm just going to show this really quick here. To the point of, if I was matching two different integrations together, how I would be able to do that. Can you find this in your phone? Let me print it clear. Do this. Let's see. So use Google Cat to fetch my.
Well, on this agent piece, can you actually explain that a little bit more? Because we're on the Pica website right now. So how would I go about integrating this into like my application?
So essentially we have a product called Toolkit. And what Toolkit does, it uses the Vercel AI SDK to enable you inside Bolt to build a full AI agent, like a chat experience, and it uses ChatCN. Now, of course, as part of the live stream that we're doing here, we're going to be producing content. Some of this content will be like just getting started, but some will be pretty advanced. Each content we produce will also have a template. It'll have all the prompts that you have to copy in order for you to get these things done. But typically, that experience, the chat experience, can be added inside your Bolt application. So like you could have a little widget at the bottom. You can click on it, pops open the chat interface. That chat interface now is connected to services. It could allow your users, to enable your user to communicate with your AI and like maybe get lead connect. Like for example, you could build an agent that get leads, do support, and do all these sort of things. Now, of course, it's a little more advanced topic, but we will be producing content on that. Now, the other thing that I want to very quickly touch on is the third party, or like we call it multi-tenant, I believe. And what it means, it's how you enable your users to connect to their services. So if you have an app and you want your users to connect to their Google Drive, for example, let's say you're building an app and the app is an AI agent, and you want the AI agent to have access to Google Drive. We have AuthKit, which is a tool that if you click on, do you mind clicking on adding a connection? You could embed this experience here inside your application, which will allow you to enable your user to connect to third parties. Take care of like literally everything. OAuth,
so
connect,
you
like
could,
everything.
this would allow you to make an app. I'm trying to think of a good example here. You could, let's say, have an application where your user is learning. Let's say it's an education application, and the user's learning about fitness, and they want to steal workouts from your workout plan that you're providing them and load them into Asana so that when they're at the gym, they have a checklist of workouts to do.
Yeah.
This would allow them to authenticate their Asana account to your
Correct.
workout education program and then capture those to-do items into their to-do tracking app with a single click right out of the app that you built.
That's right. That's exactly it.
That's
Yeah,
pretty
and
cool.
we
Yeah,
have
that was a weird example with Asana, but yeah, the more obvious one would probably be something like Google Drive, where they can save files and stuff inside of your app and have it in their Google Drive.
Yeah, or even think about like a QuickBooks. If you want to grab your customers, you want to allow them to connect their QuickBooks or their accounting softwares, and you want to read their invoices. How would you be able to do that if you didn't have something that could pop open and allow them to connect? So this app you see here, just again, like this component, this can be easily embedded inside your app. And we're going to have a live stream dedicated to that on how you can, in Bolt, embed AuthKit directly in your app. So you click a button and boom, it'll pop this open. You can pop it open directly into connecting a specific one so you don't see the whole catalog. But this allows you essentially to grab not only your connections, but anything your customers need to connect as well.
And this loops back to the comment that Alex.Travel made about 40 minutes ago, which is that this AuthKit and Toolkit thing are really mind-blowing and add some capabilities that would just be way beyond at least what I personally would ever consider vibe coding, just from a complexity and a security perspective. This just unlocks a lot of really incredible capabilities. Okay, so we're coming up on time here. I want to hit a few more questions before we wrap, but I think that's a great summary there of what we have coming around the corner and why you should keep your eyes peeled for the next session, December 3rd. And we're going to keep doing these because there's a lot of capabilities that we're excited to teach you how to add to your applications.
Alex, right before flipping over to the Q&A, just really quick, if you're looking for inspiration too as to what exactly can this third-party tool do, like what am I able to do in my Bolt app, you can head into the Browse Integrations tab and say, we work with Gmail today. You can click in and you can see these are all the different actions that you can bring into your Bolt app with Gmail. So everything that Gmail would allow you to do, you're able to do exactly that now in your Bolt app. So, if I wanted to create a draft email, if I wanted to, grab the labels I have, if I want to read unread emails from my last 10 unread emails, I can go in here and see what exactly can I do with this third-party tool. So this becomes a good little knowledge center as well.
That's a great call out, because we just taught you how to integrate Gmail, and it's like, you can send an email. Yay. Like that's only one of the many capabilities. Once you have this set up, you just prompt to do any of these things and you can integrate all those capabilities. Another advantage, by the way, of using a tool like Pica, you don't have to go read through the API docs and think through, well, how would I accomplish this with a series of code calls and stuff? You just ask for it to do it, and you shall receive.
And with the AuthKit, of course, it gets really interesting because, for example, let's say you want to build an app that organizes your user's email. You use AuthKit to enable your user to connect to their Gmail. Then you use BuildKit to create the UI that you have in your mind that helps your users manage their email, for example.
100%. Okay, let's hit a few questions real quick, and then we will wrap up here. So this was from beginning of the stream. Can we listen for a new form fill trigger, i.e. user fills out a form and update a CRM like HubSpot? Yes.
You most certainly can do that. 100% you could do that.
Yep, and we will definitely do a HubSpot specific
100%.
session here in the future. Okay, we've got a question here about what if you've already built the integration from scratch, doing the more traditional API-based integration? Is it hard to re-engineer it to use Pica?
My general advice on this is that, like, when you're vibe coding, you are engineering, right? Like, okay, whatever the engineers want, this is how the world is moving. Like, I, as an engineer, I'm vibe coding, and I've been an engineer for 20 years. The world is going in the direction of vibe coding. That's a fact. Like, we can see it. So when you're doing this, you need to be as organized as possible. Even though we could just ad hoc, like, send messages and send prompt to the AI, typically what you want to do if you're doing something like this, you want to create a plan. So you tell the AI first to clean it up, remove it. So you remove it and maybe put a placeholder or something. Then you bring Pica. I would say this is the best way of doing it. If you do it ad hoc, yes, it's going to get messy. Like if, for example, you have it and then you bring in Pica and then you're like, okay, now bring this other thing. The AI now has so many ways to accomplish what you need to do. And remember, the AI is trying to get to true. It's not trying to get to what your version of true. It's trying to get to its version of true, which is any true. So if there's 3 paths, like send an email and you have 3 ways of sending an email, it's not going to know that you prefer Pica, for example, unless if you told it so. So ideally, you clean it first and then you add. And always think about it the same way, because in engineering, usually this is exactly what we do. We first clean, remove anything that we have that is not needed or not going to be needed, and then we start introducing other things. And of course, like sometimes you could do them, both of them at the exact same time, or like you're replacing, and you could tell the AI the exact same way. In summary, what I'm saying is the more organized you are, the better your project will be.
Yeah. So like in this specific example, if you were to tell your app, it probably has one spot where it's sending resend emails. You could easily give it that BuildKit prompt and say, I want to, rather than use resend, I want to send emails directly to Gmail. Here's how you do it. Paste that BuildKit prompt. It should be super easy to re-engineer that. It's not going to be very tough. And to Mo's point, make sure you remove the resend when you add something like Pica in, so it doesn't have 2 paths it can go down.
And in Bolt, make sure you go into your version history and create a name for the working version before you do any of this. So if it gets a little screwy, you can just roll back super easily and try again, because the last thing you want to do is lose your working version and not be able to find it in version history. Another question here is, so Gmail is APIs free to use. What if I want to integrate with an API that is not free to use? How does that work in Pica?
So we help with the connection, we help with the authentication. The payment, each platform, they do their own payments. So you're tied to their subscription because obviously it requires that you have an account with them. So like when you're doing one-off, this is easy. But when you're dealing with your own users, it kind of works the same way. Like you're deferring this problem to your users. It's the same thing. So your users will be paying for that service typically.
Depends on how you'd set it up, though, right? If you wanted to
True.
integrate like OpenAI or something like that,
That's true.
then you would probably
have to
put in
correct
your key and then collect
That's right.
payments from your users. So
correct.
But yeah, the TLDR is Pica does support paid APIs. You will just need to purchase access to that API and connect it to your Pica account. So
that's right. That's exactly correct.
So Patrick asks, can the Pica integration target non-registered users who visited your page, for example, an abandoned cart email? Well, we're not going to be able to send emails unless we know the email address that we need to send it to. So you will need to make sure that if you're looking to send emails with the integration, you will need to capture that email first.
And this is how it works in every case. Whenever you're getting an abandoned cart email, you're probably logged in already. You just didn't check out. So you could totally do something where if somebody's in your cart page and then they leave, and they haven't made that purchase, you could trigger it. So you always have that email in those contexts, but yeah, like Alex said, you need an email to send one.
Yes. Here's a question. Can you integrate with APIs not listed inside Pica? I think the answer is no, but I don't know. Was it yes
You
or
could
not?
request it.
Yeah, you can ask
You could
the team.
easily request it. Yeah. Usually we get it done relatively quickly.
Yeah, so our system is built in a way where we have requests that come in, and we can add it within a couple hours, fully verified and good to go in about a day or two at most. So
Wow, okay, that's really fast. I was going to say don't ask them for anything dumb because you're going to distract them from what the rest of us want to connect to. But hey, it sounds like you've got the process pretty well oiled. Awesome, and then Expeditions and Gastora asks about payments. What do you guys have any payment APIs integrated today?
yes,
I believe we have Stripe, PayPal. Can you help me with that, Paul? I believe we have a couple ones. Yeah.
Stripe and PayPal are big ones.
Chargebee.
We have
Chargebee.
Square, Chargebee. I'm not sure how Brex would work in the context of what you're trying to do, but yeah, there's Clover. There's a lot of
bunch, yeah.
ones. We have a lot of people who are using Stripe, definitely. And again, if there's one you'd want added, just definitely reach out, and we'd be happy to.
Very cool. Grendel, this is back on the topic of re-architecting. Highly agree with this. Use plan mode. If you're thinking about stripping one thing out for another, use plan mode. I mean, hey, even if you're looking to integrate something new from scratch, and to Mo's point around the AI is looking for some type of truth, but it may not align with your concept of accurate and what you're trying to build, use plan mode. Talk through exactly when you want the emails to be sent, whose email are they sending it from, whose email are they sending it to. Make sure that you and the AI are on the same page before you go and approve the build. Totally agree with that. Don't assume anything. Absolutely agree. 100%. Awesome. Cool. De nada, Juan. My pleasure. And I think with that, that's everything I got. So, Kate, I will kick it over to you to wrap us up here.
Yes, amazing. Okay, thank you so much, everyone, for joining, for all the questions. Like Alex said, next week is Thanksgiving, at least in the U.S. So we will be off next week. We'll be back on December 3rd with our next integration with Notion. I saw some people requesting some stuff in the chat. We'll be sure to review those for the following, let's see, what would that be? December 10th-ish timeline for the next live stream. But if there's any other integrations you want to see, just share it on Twitter, tag us personally or business accounts. Happy to get whatever's helpful for you all. I think that's everything. Like I said, this will be recorded and added to our YouTube channel. And yeah, until next time, thank you so much, everyone, for joining.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone.